Typhoon Man-Yi is going all the way. It's now a Category 5 Super Typhoon on the Saffir-Simpson Hurricane Wind Scale. Known locally as Typhoon Pepito, it is powering towards the island of Catanduanes right now, and is continuing to intensify at this time. Right now, the storm is estimated to have 1 minute sustained winds of 160 miles per hour. That's 260 kilometers per hour in 1 minute sustained winds, and a pressure of 922 millibars. Right now, the storm is moving west-northwest at 15 miles per hour, or 24 kilometers per hour, and we are, unsurprisingly, T-Coast code red for this storm right now as it powers off towards the west-northwest at 15 miles per hour. So here's where the storm is located right now, with a mainly northeastern side wind field. We'll get the wind field here in just a second, but it's currently located at 12.8 degrees north, 126.3 degrees east, and it's currently located 140 miles away from Catanduanes, 240 from Dite, 375 from Dingalan, 380 from Metro Manila, and 455 from Baguio. It's a bit unclear as to exactly what impacts Manila will get from this storm, though tropical storm force winds appear to be almost certain in the city. But it does appear to be that the core of the storm thankfully will remain further off towards the north. So here is the wind field right now, as I did say earlier, mainly on the northeastern side. Southwestern side is looking a little bit low at this time, although that could grow over the next few days, or I should say the next 24 hours as it moves inland. Of course, Signal 1, Signal 2, Signal 3 warnings are in effect for portions of the central Philippines. You can find more for your exact location on Picasso's website. But those signal warnings, I imagine, will probably be upgraded to Signal 4 and Signal 5 over the next 12 to 24 hours, as the storm is continuing to intensify at this time, and Picasso do forecast a super typhoon landfall on Catanduanes. So, as we did say, Man-Yi is now a Category 5 storm with maximum sustained winds of 160 miles per hour. Some gusts in the isle may reach in excess of 180 miles per hour. If Man-Yi were to make a Category 5 landfall on the island of Catanduanes, damage on the island could be catastrophic to complete destruction. Heavy rainfall is also going to be a major threat, especially in portions of southern Luzon, where in excess of 500 millimeters worth of rainfall is possible from this storm as it moves on through over the next 2 days, which could lead to some mudslide and landslide issues in mountainous areas, which could exacerbate the effects on top of the heavy rainfall and the damaging wind that they're going to be seeing with this extremely dangerous typhoon in already affected areas previously affected by previous typhoons. So here's the latest forecast track. We are forecasting a peak of 175 miles per hour right as it made landfall on Catanduanes. Unclear if it will remain a Category 5 up to southern Luzon. My guess is it'll drop just below it, just as it comes in here, and then rapidly weakening as storms usually do over Luzon, weakening down to a tropical storm as it moves to the South China Sea. And as the storm gets closer towards Vietnam, thankfully it should rapidly weaken under increasing amounts of wind shear. So here's the latest for Typhoon Warning Center's forecast track, calling for the storm to go right over Catanduanes as a significant typhoon, probably at least a Category 5, if I had to guess. GTWC did fix 130 knots recently, so they are not quite Category 5 for the storm just yet. It remains to be unclear if they will at all over the next 12 to 24 hours. We'll have to wait and see on that. That's the future. This is the present. But the storm will rapidly weaken as it pushes over Luzon, only forecasting a Category 2 landfall there in Luzon. That's very interesting from the DTWC. So here's what we're seeing right now on these satellite estimates. There's normally a lot more on here, but we haven't listed all of the ones included because they are horribly out of date, or they're just horribly behind on the intensification trend. GTWC at 150 miles per hour, JMA at 160, that's 120 miles per hour and 10 minutes sustained winds, and ADT down below at 130. So here's a look at the latest model forecast from the GFS. Obviously the wind scale coloring isn't exactly what we're used to, so I do apologize about that, but you can see those high colors do indicate that this storm will likely maintain or at least intensify according to the GFS, maybe weakening a little bit as it passes over Catanduanes, probably due to land interaction. That might happen a little bit, maybe a little bit of core disruption from that, and then pretty much from Catanduanes up to Luzon, it should maintain its intensity or maybe weaken a little bit slowly due to more land interaction. But either way, very powerful landfall in both Catanduanes and Luzon, absolutely on the cards. Preparations for this dangerous typhoon need to be rushed to completion. This is an extremely dangerous situation. One, because it's a Category 5, and two, the Philippines have already dealt with 4 straight storms in a row, and this is number 5 coming right on up. At least number 5. There would be even more, actually. Before, I don't remember how many there was in a row, but it's a lot. So here's the latest sea surface temperatures forecast, or the current observations I should say. Sea surface temperatures are more than enough for this storm to continue to intensify as it moves off towards the west-northwest. They do go up a little bit in the South China Sea, but any chance of it returning there is going to be killed off mainly due to wind shear in the area. That should kill off any hope of this storm intensifying as it pushes up towards Vietnam. And wind shear, get this, gets up towards 50 to 60 knots as it gets towards Vietnam. So that will certainly kill off the storm and outright. So we're not really seeing much in terms of the land observations just yet. We'll have to wait and see what the buoys have been saying. I do know that a buoy earlier supported 125 miles per hour when the TWC had it down as a Category 2. So there's that going for that. So of course this is going to be a very intensive post-analysis too for the storm that I imagine we'll have to look at. But of course that's for post-analysis in a few weeks. So here's what the RAM plot is saying. We're pretty certain that the storm is going to plow into Luzon. It's just a question of where. We still don't know that, but narrowing down a landfall intensity should get easier as time goes on. But it's fairly certain that the storm is going to make a southwestward curve towards Vietnam as it gets to the South China Sea. But it's a question of how sharp of a curve and how much does it weaken. That's something that we don't know yet, and we'll have to wait and see over the next few days at how much the storm weakens. Now, most of the model consensuses do indicate that the storm is likely to intensify a little bit more or maybe maintain intensity over the next 24 hours or so. And then you can see they jump off a cliff as it goes into Luzon. And then a very slow weakening trend and near anticipation by day 5 in the South China Sea. That's what we have been saying. Wind shear isn't going to be much of a problem over the next 24 hours, so I don't really see any reason why the storm would not continue to intensify, to be honest. But as you can see, look at the wind shear as we get towards day 4 and day 5, in excess of 40 knots. That's as the storm gets close to Vietnam, so that'll kill off any sort of chance of re-strengthening that the storm will have. And the sea surface temperatures are on the slight decline, but still favorable, and relative humidity also very favorable for the storm. So all signs are go up until landfall for Man-Yi, and we'll have to wait and see how strong this storm gets over the next 12 hours. So here's the look at the water vapor imagery. I've picked this one specifically because you can see just how deep those blues are in the eye. On this type of imagery, the deeper the blue color, the more drier the eye is. That is a very, very dry eye. We don't see stuff like this. There's only really a select few storms in a given year that have eyes this dry, and we haven't seen something like this, an eye this dry, in a few storms here in the Western Pacific. And given that this is a La Nina year, this is very impressive to see this kind of strength for this storm again in a row after Usagi in these regions. So very impressive for this storm to be at this intensity. Imagery indicates that this storm does have a very warm eye in excess of 20 degrees Celsius, believe it or not. That in its own mark is even more impressive than the dryness of the eye, if you ask me. Cloud tops are waiting a little bit, but that's mainly due to the eye warming up. That much is pretty much going to happen. That's normal. And cloud tops are continuing to symmetrize around the core, which indicates that the storm is still intensifying at this time as it moves off towards Catanduanes. The time to prepare is closing fast. If you are in these inland areas or in the path of this dangerous typhoon, once again, the time to prepare is running out. Let's start working as a team to prepare for this dangerous typhoon. Time is running out, and you only have about 12 to 24 hours left to prepare for the storm before it makes landfall.